That's it, folks. The Penguin has come to an end with an amazing episode packed with twists. And if you think it's only about his mom, think again. The series is about a villain, and no one's sugarcoating that. Come check out all the layers in this episode. We had the bat signal, a final showdown for the crime throne, Catwoman, and the Penguin reaching his ultimate villain status. Stick around until the end of the video to catch everything that went down in this complete analysis of the last episode and final thoughts on the series. Welcome to Comic Chronicles. The season finale of The Penguin brought multiple plot twists one after another, delivering revenge followed by even more revenge. This was a finale worthy of awards, and it's the best show of the year. The Penguin has been one of the most thrilling productions of the year, serving up exciting moments, tense scenes, and a lot more. Let's dive into everything that went down, so smash that Penguin like button on this video, hit that Penguin subscribe on the channel, and drop your thoughts about the finale of The Penguin. Did you like it? Comment down below. Now, let's get into the video. The episode is titled A Great or Little Thing, and it is inspired by a passage from the poem The Ballad of Reading Jail, written by Oscar Wilde. It is fascinating to note how the poem captures various elements of the episode: a character imprisoned in a place, another who meets a tragic fate by being hanged, and a window that symbolizes hope. It also conveys the important lesson that people often destroy what they love. An intriguing fact about this poem is that it was published in a magazine during the time the author was serving a 2-year prison sentence. Wilde wanted his work to be read by people who shared similar experiences. So, in addition to this poem being an inspiration for the episode, it was something that truly happened. The episode kicks off with Dr. Julian Rush doing a therapy session with Frances, diving into her past and making her relive some memories. This becomes clearer when we see her looking in the mirror and seeing her younger self. Frances gets a visit from Rex Calabrese, who came to talk to her because he knows she's not doing well after losing her 2 kids. This moment brings the first twist of the episode. While we thought Frances was a mom who demanded a lot from Oz, wanting a life of luxury and all that, she actually reveals that she already knew what Oz had done. She even wanted Rex to take Oz out. So here we see that her mother was actually afraid of her son, afraid of what he could do, because he is truly a psychopath. Frances reveals she figured out what Oz did because she found a lantern in his coat pocket, and the police said they were locked in that place by someone. Rex offers Frances 2 solutions. The first is to feed Oz's devotion to her, to reach his full potential since, according to him, someone like Oz could thrive in the crime game. The second option would be to take him out, in other words, end his life. Even though Frances agreed with the second option, at Monroe's Jazz Club, Frances backs off and can't give the order for Rex to take out the Penguin, so the moment where Frances and Oz dance at the end of the previous episode, and she seems emotionally unstable, even crying, is a result of the choice she made that we only see here. She didn't have the guts and opted for Rex's first option. In fact, if you rewatch the dance scene at the end of episode 7 now, you'll see it in a whole new light. The series really had the guts to tackle all of this and did it in a sensational way. The episode then brings back Vic, who had gone missing, to get help for Oz. He managed to rally the other gangs to help, but when they saw all the damage and explosion caused at the distribution center in Crown Point, they bail and say Penguin is probably dead by now. Vic gives a speech trying to convince the mobsters to help Oz, even saying they'll always be looked down upon with moves like that. To protect Vic, one of the Triad goons punches him, telling him to shut up and watch his words. Everyone leaves, leaving the kid all alone. Guys, this scene is also really good. Notice that Vic doesn't have the same charm as Oz when it comes to convincing others, but you can see the development he's had throughout the series. He could barely speak before, was scared, but now he's got the guts to stand up to the other mobsters. And it doesn't stop there. Penguin only achieved what he did at the end of the series because of Vic. We'll get to that moment to analyze it better soon. One of Oz's workers finds Vic and tells him that Sophia has him. Meanwhile, Oz wakes up tied to a chair in the old Monroe's Jazz Club. Sophia was there with her goons and Dr. Julian, but Oz's mother was there too. The moment of Sophia's revenge on the Penguin has arrived. Sophia tells a story about when she and Alberto were kids. They found a bird's nest with 2 chicks, one stronger and older who was always fed more by the mother, but one day, the younger bird attacked its older brother to take the nest and its mother all for itself, and despite that, the mother kept feeding the younger chick as if nothing had happened. This story that Sophia told was just a parallel to Oz's relationship with his mom. It's clear that Sophia's goal was to make Oz suffer by turning his mom against him or even making his mom suffer to reach Oz. She told this story to highlight how bizarre the younger bird's attitude was towards his brother, and the mother's response. The problem is that Sophia discovers that Oz doesn't actually care about his mom. He didn't tell the truth about his siblings, even with his mom having almost lost one of her fingers. In reality, Frances only didn't lose her finger because she shouted at Oz that she always knew the truth, that he took the lives of his siblings, and it's a disappointment. Frances stands up, breaks a bottle, and hits Oz with it in an attempt to end his life. After injuring Oz, Frances sees him as younger, back when everything happened. She looks ahead and sees her two dead children. She tries to walk over to them and then collapses on the floor, as if she had fallen into a coma. This whole sequence of scenes at Monroe's was really well done. It was truly intense, and I have to hand it to the three main actors, fantastic job. They finally shared the screen together, and it was spectacular. Penguin loses his mind over what happened to his mom and manages to break free from the chair. He takes on Sophia's goons, grabs his mom, and runs out of there to take her to the hospital. His mom gets help, but he's also injured and quickly calls Vic for his help. As soon as Victor arrives, Penguin lies to him, saying that Sophia was the one responsible for everything that happened to his mom. Vic helps Penguin and gives him a motivational speech since he's shaken up by everything that went down. Vic tells us that he should trust the people he hired in Crown Point, and that it was him who brought the light back to the neighborhood, not anyone else. Oz jokes about Vic's speech and gets up, saying they'll have to go after Sophia carefully. After that, Sophia gathers the gangs that had agreements with Penguin at her mansion. She says she's out of the business and makes one final offer: whoever captures the Penguin gets the mansion and can control everything. Everyone suspects her motives, but Sophia genuinely wants to leave her past with her family behind and start fresh. The only issue with her plan is that she still wants to get revenge on Oz, making him suffer because he, along with her dad, threw her into Arkham Asylum. Meanwhile, Penguin puts his plans into action. He goes to the city hall to try and make a deal with that councilman he blackmailed to restore power in Crown Point. Outside, Vic gets a call from one of the Triad Gang's goons, the one who punched him at the beginning of the episode. The goon warns Victor about the new bounty that Sophia's put out, confirming what Vic had said back in Crown Point. Inside the city hall, there's an interesting scene that could be a hint about the future involving this character. Oz walks into City Hall without any trouble and sits in Mayor Bellareal's chair. Could this be foreshadowing where Penguin tries to take control of Gotham's City Hall at some point in future films? This has happened in various other adaptations involving Batman. We've seen this in Batman 66, Batman Returns, even in the Gotham series, and in the comics. Penguin's plan was to blame Sophia for the explosion in Crown Point and the entire drug operation since the explosives and the car were hers. It would be a war between the Falcones and the Maronis, resulting in Sal Maroni's death. He tells this plan to the councilman, as being the politician who brought the light back to Crown Point and knowing who's responsible for the gang wars, he'd end up being the town hero and could use that to his advantage to gain more public support. In return, Penguin wants to start being welcomed in places like City Hall. The councilman says that Bellareal is putting together an anti-corruption operation and that if he wants to get involved in politics, he'll have to look clean. One detail in these City Hall scenes worth noting is a potential Easter egg that people have been discussing online. Personally, I didn't notice it when I watched the episode, but after hearing about it and rewatching the scenes, you can't unsee it. They're saying all the curtains in the City Hall are shaped like owls, suggesting this is another indicator that the Court of Owls will show up at some point in this Batman epic crime saga. In my opinion, it makes sense that the production might have done this on purpose as an Easter egg to convey the idea that the Court of Owls is watching. Especially since we're talking about Gotham City Hall, and the court controls everything that happens in the city. Featuring the Court of Owls in the next or third Batman film would be fantastic, as it's a theme that fits well with this universe, where it's been established in the Penguin that the wealthy are never affected by the atrocities occurring in the city, while the poor are always the ones who suffer the most. Moreover, clues about the Court of Owls and the Batman existed since the trailer for the Batman Part 1 was released. In the comics, little Easter eggs hinting at owls have also been included in Batman's stories by Scott Snyder, the creator of the Court, along with Greg Capullo. This happened in the comic Gates of Gotham, which took place before the New 52 brought the Court of Owls in Batman's first arc. Despite all of this making sense, returning to this specific scene from the last episode of The Penguin, I don't believe that's an Easter egg for the Court of Owls. Having the detail in the curtains as an Easter egg seems overly forced in my opinion. Even if it's a small Easter egg, it still isn't a confirmation. I know many want this to happen, and I do too, but we have to be careful not to create false expectations. Back to the episode, soon after, actress Jamie Lawson, who played Bella Real in The Batman, makes a brief cameo appearance at City Hall. Penguin leaves but doesn't find Vic, and soon enough, he's confronted by Triad goons who are there to take him in. Back with Sophia, she receives a call from the Triad informing her they have captured Oz. Then, in a stunning scene, Sophia sets fire to the Falcone mansion while we hear a version of the song Where Did You Sleep Last Night, famously covered acoustically by Nirvana. This scene of Sophia destroying the mansion is really great and full of layers. Seeing the Falcone family portrait burn is a clear sign that she left her past behind. The only thing left for Sophia is to finish off Oz. She arrives at the hangar where a plane is waiting, and the Triad is there with Penguin, but it's all a trap. Oz and Vic acted secretly, and all of Zao's goons betrayed him. They take out their boss and everyone with Sophia, leaving only her. Penguin then gives Sophia a ride like old times. Sophia even asks Penguin what he promised to get those goons to betray Zao, and he replies that it was simple, he just gave them a chance to be someone. Then all the other gang leaders lost their lives to their own goons, one after the other. Penguin stops at a riverside location, and it seems he's going to finish Sophia off there. As her last words, Sophia tells us that his mom always knew what he was, a monster. She turns, and here we have another beautiful scene where the cinematography of the series deserves some applause. The soft focus in this take, called a bokeh effect, kind of looks like a bullet trail that Sophia would take. What a beautiful shot! When Sophia closes her eyes and breathes, she soon realizes that Oswald is long gone, and the police arrive to arrest her for the explosion in Crown Point. Sophia is sent back to Arkham, and the only reason she's still alive is that she needed to be alive for Penguin's plan to work. They needed someone to be blamed for that explosion. After that, Oz returns to the hospital, aiming to celebrate his victory with his mom, but he is shocked to find her in a vegetative state. The nurse says that her stroke was too severe, leaving Oswald desperate, as he had just taken out all the other mobsters and claimed power for himself. Penguin starts crying and repeatedly asks his mom to tell him she's proud of him, but it's no use. Penguin went through all this to give his mom a life of luxury, but in this moment, he lost her. So we finally reach the most intense moment of the episode, where Oz is sitting on a bench talking to Vic about losing Francis. The kicker here is that Vic doesn't know the truth about Oz and the deaths of his siblings. Oz even asks him if he thinks his mom would forgive him, leaving Vic confused about what Penguin means. Oz tells Vic that he wouldn't have achieved anything without his help, and now he's the only one who knows all his secrets and weaknesses. Vic thanks Oz for the opportunity and says he considers him family, but even though the vibe seems good between the two, Penguin says that on this new journey, he can't take Vic with him, as having a family brings problems and could be a weakness, something he can't afford to have again. Penguin suffocates Vic until the kid loses his life. As he dies, Oz apologizes, saying he's a good kid. Notice that, as I mentioned earlier in this video, Penguin only succeeded in taking everyone down at the end due to Vic, and even then, Vic was killed by Oz, just like his siblings in childhood. While in episode 6, Oz embraces Vic after he shot Squeed and said everything would get easier, and they'd tell stories about the two in the future, here it's revealed that it was all a lie. Penguin doesn't care about anyone, not even his mom. He's a true psychopath, which is what the character really is in the comics, a bona fide villain. Even though he has a sad past, he's the one responsible for that sadness, and the series doesn't excuse his actions by trying to justify that he went bad because of childhood trauma or trying to soften his villainous side. Not that I have any problem with the idea of a villain being a villain due to a sad past when it's well written, that's fine, but compared to Joker, Folie à Deux for instance, the show The Penguin wasn't cowardly enough to undermine the villain's image, which is what this character has always been in the comics, a true bad guy. The Penguin even brings moments where you think Oz is someone who has a heart and could potentially stop being a villain at some point, but that's where we're caught off guard, and the series concludes with what everyone has said since episode 1, never trust the Penguin. This whole finale involving Victor was incredibly well done. The series had the courage to tell the story it wanted to tell. I really liked it, it was a 10 out of 10 worthy moment. Returning to the end of the episode, we see Sophia back in Arkham. She wears a lifeless expression, as if she's genuinely lost. Julian Rush interestingly returned to work there and is now taking care of her. He arrives with a letter claimed to be written by someone named Selena Kyle, saying she's her half-sister, which puts a spark in Sophia's expression as she reads. So here we had another connection between the series and the universe of the Batman, linking somehow Catwoman with Sophia, something people had been speculating could happen at some point. In my opinion, it would be fantastic to have a Catwoman series, and who knows, maybe Sophia showing up in it. Do you agree? The only weak point, in my opinion, was the character Julian Rush, who, compared to all the other important characters in the series, ended up being the weakest in terms of development. So, throughout the series, aside from the absence of Batman, I would say Julian Rush was the weakest link. The series concludes with us now living in a penthouse. He's sporting his classic look, complete with top hat, and you can even see an umbrella when he enters his place. He brought his mom to live with him and didn't do what she asked of him, which was to end her life if she fell into a vegetative state. Oz finishes dancing with Eve Carlo, who is dressed like Penguin's mom from the past and treats him like he's her son, pretty bizarre and twisted. Eve ends by saying the city now belongs to him, but in the last second, the bat signal lights up, and the series wraps up. There's that Batman reference many were hoping for. Right at the last second, the bat signal is triggered, but still, the Batman Part 2 will have to explain the entire absence of the Dark Knight throughout this time. And thus, the Penguin series comes to an end, kicking off the Batman Part 2. To learn more about Penguin and the entire Batman mythology in the comics, check out our affiliate links in the description of this video and grab some Batman, DC, Marvel comics, or any kind of purchase. That way, you support our work without paying anything extra for it. Thank you so much for all the support you give us. I really love The Penguin, it's a remarkable series, but now I want to know your opinion. Did you like the season finale of The Penguin? Was this the best episode in your opinion? What rating would you give the series as a whole? Write it down in the comments, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any DC news. To catch up on everything that went down in each episode, click on our The Penguin playlist to uncover each secret and Easter egg behind every episode. Thank you for your presence, and see you in the next video.